Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to break down the character of Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow, specifically Green Arrow from the CW TV show Arrow. Why specifically this version of Green Arrow? Because this is the one I'm more familiar with. Obviously, I don't really know comic books that well. I know a little bit here and there about comic book version of Green Arrow. Do note in this video, I will be going over stuff kind of all across the series, kind of referencing stuff here and there, even stuff from the most recent season, obviously even the most recent episode that's come out. So do keep that in mind if you decide to keep watching the video. The reason why I wanted to talk about Oliver, aka Green Arrow, is because of what the show has done to his character, just because of how complicated the character is in many different regards. Because obviously like Oliver's personality and everything he is, who he is as a hero. Like obviously when Oliver started this mission, like back in season 1, obviously like he started this with the intentions of, I'm going to save the city, I'm going to rectify the mistakes that my dad was a part of, the whole undertaking situation. But obviously it grew into something more, being where he is now, becoming Green Arrow, becoming a beacon of hope for Star City. He never planned to originally start this with anybody. He wanted to do this solo, but eventually over the course he's met many friends and allies who become like family to him, or are very important to him, people he's trust. Something, like I said, it's something that's not easy, that it's not something that comes easy for Oliver, and that's something that's popped up over the course of the series because he has a tendency not to say everything, you know, tell everyone everything. He keeps secrets. There's a whole William situation he kept secret from Felicity, the whole like, oh yeah, magic is a thing, his whole plan with the League of Assassins pretending to work with Ra's al Ghul, like that whole situation, like Oliver never really let anyone in on his plans and stuff like that, and that's just because that's something he built up because I'm sure his whole experiences on Lian Yu in those 5 years. I mean, to be fair, we all know now, like he was on Lian Yu all of those 5 years, but those 5 years kind of molded him into the person he is, and it's become a part of him to the point it's hard to kind of break those habits. Like obviously he's gotten better at it, and it's even something that Dig has even talked about in the most recent episode, because for Oliver, like I think for a good chunk of the series, a big part of him was struggling, because it's something I've brought up multiple times, because until someone had pointed it out, I never really realized it. I think it was Screw Attack in particular, I heard them talk about this, so I'm going to give them credit for it, because I had never heard that thought process on how DC heroes, the superhero persona is the real them, while their secret identity self is, you know, the mask that they wear. And to me, it's such an interesting perspective, and I feel like it really shows when it comes to Oliver, because being under the hood was so easy for him for such a long time, and I feel like he could never figure out Oliver Queen. It's like, because he couldn't go back to being the Oliver Queen that he was before, this selfish playboy rich boy, struggling to find out who Oliver Queen was now, you know, keeping those separations, but also, you know, like most recently it's like he's come to the realization like the reason why he can't give up the hood is because it is a part of him, it completes him. But obviously he kind of gets, you know, flack for that, because it's like, oh, because you're so focused on you, this is about you spread yourself too thin, being mayor, being a father, being a husband, you're not being dedicated to the hood, you're not being the hero that you're supposed to, that you've kind of lost sight that all this fight you're doing is for yourself and not for the city anymore, which I call BS on, but that's a discussion I've kind of already talked about heavily in the podcast. But it's just the fact is that Oliver can be very isolating, and that's a term that's kind of been used very recently because of the secrets, because he kind of pushes people away. Obviously I think he's gotten better at it, but obviously, you know, this in particular is coming up because of the whole division between him and Team Arrow. Obviously where the series stands now, spoilers for the most recent episode, obviously he's kind of alone. Like the only person he still has on Team Arrow is Felicity, which I even talked about that in the podcast. Who's to say that something won't happen later on down the road that she won't leave him, in the sense of like how for Oliver he feels like everyone else is already leaving him, especially Diggle being like a brother to him. I mean, because obviously this is all taking place after the division of Team Arrow already, you know, the split with Curtis, Renee, and Dinah. Because what also plays into Oliver's character, I feel like amongst him, that makes him a little bit different even to the other heroes in the Arrowverse, is I feel like he's created most of his antagonists. I mean, because him being who he is, like because of his experiences on Lian Yu, that ended up leading to Slade becoming a thing and him sieging the city. Even the whole Adrian Chase situation, that was born because of what Oliver did in the past as the Hood. You gotta make that argument the whole Ra's al Ghul situation happened because of him being you know, I mean, to be fair, it's just kind of one of those situations of like, oh yeah, do heroes attract the weirdos and freaks, or do the weirdos and freaks attract heroes? And that turns into that whole chicken or which came first, the chicken or the egg type of conversation. I mean, like I said, it's just, Oliver is such a fascinating character because of everything that he's done. Like, Oliver spends so much of his own time like regretting almost every decision he makes, because I mean, the fact of the matter is, as a leader, as a hero, he constantly has to wonder like, okay, did I make the right choice? Like, all I can do is try my best. And I feel like once again he's getting flack for trying his best. It's like, oh, you didn't always do the right thing, even though I thought it was this and that. It's like, if you really thought like that, like, why'd you back my play, dig? You know, that's the whole thing. Like I said, I got into it very heatedly during the podcast, but it just, I don't know, I feel like he kind of gets like the rough end of the stick, like so much kind of like, you know, I mean, that's kind of the weight that comes with being basically a superhero, that all that kind of falls on him, and I kind of feel like that's not fair. But to be fair, it's like, well, that comes with the territory of being a superhero, that things don't always go your way. I mean, the point I'm also bringing up too is like, do you agree with the whole aspect of like, you know, Oliver pushing people away? Like, to me, it's such a fascinating dynamic, and maybe it's because on some level I can kind of like get in that same mindset, because I feel like sometimes I have a tendency to kind of do that. I feel like a lot of people have a tendency to kind of push people away. It's just kind of like your defense mechanism, because it's just kind of like, I don't even think he's really pushing people away. It's like, well, the whole like Renee situation, and that led to him spying on the team and stuff like that. Like I said, with that whole situation, there's fault all around, but I feel like it more so kind of falls on Oliver's shoulder. I guess as a leader, it's kind of that situation of when your team fails, when there's a problem with your team, ultimately it's on you, because as a leader, you should have done a better job. So all their faults fall on you, type of thing. So I don't know. I feel like even amongst all the heroes I've come to kind of know, I feel like there's an element there that I don't really see in any other superhero. Like, even because obviously like the argument's been made that obviously Green Arrow and Arrow has been set up to be very Batman-like, but even then I kind of feel like there's elements there that I wouldn't even see in Batman. I mean, especially the whole like, well, Oliver's killed people before, but which obviously depending on the canon, but most canonical Batman canon, he doesn't kill people. That struggle with the light and darkness, I feel like it's very prevalent when it comes to Oliver. All I'm trying to say is that obviously Oliver is a flawed superhero, and I think that's what makes him very fascinating. I've kind of brought up the argument that I feel like these things that seem like they're kind of like, oh, they made Oliver a better person but kind of a suckier hero, I kind of feel like that's kind of like not fair, because I feel like they are wanting to say, because by becoming better at one, he does become better at the other. It brings a sort of unity together that I think does make him a good leader. But leaders make mistakes, obviously, and it can't be perfect all the time. And I kind of said it, the same situation, like hindsight is 20/20, like you always try to do the best that you can, and I feel like Oliver's always tried to do that. I don't know, ultimately let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about Oliver's character, from who he was at the very beginning to the series to where he is right now in the current season of the series? Like, let me know all your thoughts about everything. Do you agree that he's, you know, being who he is, like that he's continued to be that isolating hero, which I think he kind of has, but I think he's done his best to kind of fight against that instinct inside himself to push people away. But really, that's all I want to talk about in this video. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.